Everybody has helped in some fashion, from the frontline starters to the clutch pinch hitters. They'll ride their streak into the weekend when they welcome the Chicago White Sox to Globe Life Park. It's Friday night, and your Rangers are coming up next on TXA 21. Absolutely beautiful evening here at Globe Life Park, and your Rangers have brightened things up significantly, a 3-game winning streak as they welcome the Chicago White Sox into town for a weekend series. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Greaves, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us on this Friday night of Rangers baseball, and it should be a great weekend. Rangers are playing well. They have one of their best pitchers going, and that is the young Martin Perez.
You know, last year I think was his coming out party, Buzz. This year he's blossoming really into a frontline starting pitcher. He gets better and better, it seems, with every start. His last start was against the Astros. He pitched 8 shutout innings, threw 107 pitches in that game. One thing he's had the knack of this year, and that's the double play ball. He's had 9 double plays turned behind him. He throws a good sinker, a good changeup, gets a lot of ground balls, and he's really turning into quite a find for the Rangers.
And the Rangers have won every ball game that Martin has started, and the Rangers hope to keep that streak alive here tonight. So Martin Perez and the Rangers getting set to take on the Chicago White Sox. First of 3 coming up from Globe Life Park right after this on TXA 21. Ford dealer today. Ford is the best in Texas. By Globe Life, the official life insurance company of the Texas Rangers. And by TXU Energy for home and business. 1-866. Call TXU. Well, the Rangers baseball office is open for business. Ron Washington presiding. Rangers have won their last 3 games. First time this year that Texas has put together 3 wins in a row. And they come in at 9-7, trailing the Oakland Athletics by a game and a half in the American League West. White Sox are the opponent, and here is Robin Ventura's lineup this evening. Adam Eaton leads off. Marcus Semien is the third baseman. Jose Abreu plays first. Diane Viciedo is in right field. The DH is Paul Canerco. Alexi Ramirez off to a great start, playing shortstop, hitting 6th. Alejandro De Aza is in left. Tyler Flowers catches. And Leury Garcia, former Ranger, playing second and batting 9th.
And on the mound for the Rangers is Martin Perez. He's 2-0 after 3 starts. As we mentioned in the open, he's induced 9 double play grounders in his last 2 starts. No one in the league is within 4 of him in that regard. 9 wins since August 1st of last year. That's the most in the American League and 3rd most in Major League Baseball. Well, we mentioned this too, Buzz. He's a young pitcher that burst on the scene last year in a big way in 20 starts, won 10 games, and it looks like he's picking up where he left off and getting better this year.
Yeah, and you're right, Tom, and I thought he improved as the year went on last year, too.
Yeah.
And he is just continuing that. He has one of the best records, as a matter of fact, since last August of anybody in the major leagues. Well, Martin Perez out tonight trying to make it a perfect 3-0. Takes on the White Sox. He has faced Robin Ventura's club one time. That was last August. Came away with a win against Chris Sale. Here's Adam Eaton, the new leadoff man and center fielder for the White Sox. And he looks at strike 1. Eaton, a good run producer so far. 10 RBI. 385 on-base percentage. Doing an excellent job. What the White Sox wanted at the top of their order. Topper over the mound into center field, a base hit. Eaton starts things off by getting aboard. Oh, a high chopper, and Eaton scurrying down the line, kind of hit the bag awkwardly. Darrell Boston, the first base coach, over there to talk to him, and came up a little bit lame going around first base. Let's look at the Ranger defense very quickly. Shin-Soo Choo in left, Leonis Martin in center. Jim Adducci, his first start of the year, he's in right field. Prince Fielder at first, Donnie Murphy started second. Elvis Andrus at short. Kevin Kuzminoff is at third, and the catcher is Robinson Chirinos. Robin Ventura and the trainer out there to check on Adam Eaton, and here's what happened.
He looked at the base, then he lifted his head up to watch the ball and hit the base awkwardly and tripped as he went around it. A smile on his face, so looks like he's okay.
Oh, Eaton aboard to start things off. Marcus Semien now, the third baseman, comes up. Again, right from the start now, Martin Perez sets up that double play possibility. He doesn't mind this at all.
Well, the base hit was just a little dribbler right over the mound.
It's fouled off. 0-1 to Semien, who's hitting at .209, a couple of home runs, and 5 driven in.
Yeah, Martin is really concentrated with men on base to keep the ball down. And his fastball has kind of a natural tailing action and sinking action to a right-hand hitter. Tends to hit him off the end of the bat. Tends to be a ground ball.
He also has that kind of changeup, Tom, that's not really a swing and miss changeup. He gets a lot of weak ground balls off of it.
Yeah, it's kind of the same movement and the same result, really.
Perfect combination if you need ground balls.
Yeah.
He's gotten ahead of Semien now. No balls and 2 strikes. Semien looked like he was trying to take that ball to the right side. Pretty good hole over there with Donnie Murphy, the second baseman, shading toward the bag a bit. Got him swinging. And there was that changeup.
Yeah, If you're facing him for the first time and you're down 0-2 and you've seen fastballs and you haven't seen his changeup yet, this is what happens. No way you can hit that pitch. That's a perfect changeup, and it looked just like the sinker that he threw right before it. Just didn't get there as quick.
Yeah. One gone. Here's the big slugger, Jose Abreu, who was signed off the island nation of Cuba. The power numbers up, 4 home runs, 14 RBI. Yeah, he is. Takes a fastball for a strike. It is 0-1. Abreu sitting out yesterday, the first time he had not started a game for the White Sox. Robin Ventura kind of gave him part of the game off. He came out as a pinch hitter. 0-1 pitch. Inside, 1 ball and 1 strike to Abreu.
Abreu, in all the time that he played in Cuba, 6 or 7, 8 years, was a .340 career hitter. He had a year a couple years ago. In 212 at bats, he hit .453 with 33 home runs and 93 runs batted in. That's in 212 at bats. That's like 40% of a regular season.
Yeah.
But what it tells me is you see a lot of really good Cuban pitchers leave Cuba and come over here. But other than those, there must not be many good ones left. If you could hit .450 over there.
He's gotten off to a relatively slow start at 213. Got eaten at first, and though they had him leaning the wrong way, and just able to sneak back in time was Adam Eaton.
Well, most people wouldn't have been able to stop and get back as quickly as he did. He's really quick. He's not a big guy, but a tall, lanky guy takes that same kind of hop towards second. He might not be able to take that quick step and get back like he did.
1-2 to Abreu.
That'll make him think twice before he gets a good jump and goes, though.
Fouled high in the air down the right field line, and that's back into the seats out of play. We'll try it again in a ball and 2 strikes. The White Sox come in the most prolific run scorer in the American League. 87 runs scored in their 16 games thus far. That is tops of the American League. They're also second in batting average at 267. That pitch just missed the inside corner. Well located fastball by Perez. And we'll take a look at the Ford leaderboard, talking about runs scored. White Sox 1 more than the Twins. The Angels in 3rd, and then the Cleveland Indians.
I'm thinking he's going to see a changeup right here. Just pounded him with a couple fastballs. Last one was a little bit inside, so he's aware of that. Like your chances if you can throw the same one to Abreu that he just struck Semien out with.
2 balls, 2 strikes as Perez sets. Got him. Nice call. Nice call, Tom.
Got to see that one coming. After you watch our guys long enough, you get an idea kind of what their tendencies are. And it just seemed like that last fastball sets that up. The other side of it is he's sure thrown those changeups exactly where he wanted to.
That he is.
In the event that they did wait and they did time it, they still weren't going to do anything if they swung at it because it was a little bit out of the strike zone.
There's Diane Viciedo, and first ball swinging, lofts it to right field. Hit pretty well. Adducey back right in front of the wall. He stops, puts it away, and that will do it. So Viciedo gave it a ride, but Rangers had a guy out there in Jim Adducey. No runs a hit, 1 left after a half inning. White Sox nothing. Rangers coming up on TXA 21. the Rangers coming to bat now. Here's Ron Washington's batting order. Shin-Soo Choo leads off. Elvis Andrus bats second. The DH tonight is Alex Rios, Prince Fielder in the cleanup spot. Kevin Kuzminoff at third. Jim Adduci to start in right field tonight. Donnie Murphy bats seventh, plays second. Leonis Martin in center. And batting ninth, the catcher, Robinson Chirinos. Shin-Soo Choo stepping in, and he had his first Ranger home run yesterday against the Mariners. Hit a high line drive that carried out well into the lower home run porch. And first ball swinging here, he hits a two-hopper down to Abreu, the first baseman. So one pitch, and Choo is retired.
Look at the scouting report for Felipe Paulino. He's had 3 starts. One of them went pretty well. The first one, not too well since then, though. His ERA is close to 8. Giving up 4 home runs in a little over 9 innings. 328 opponent's batting average. Left-hand hitters he's been okay against. Right-hand hitters have pounded him, though. 414 average through 3 games. Only 14 and 2/3 innings. Giving up 6 runs in each of his last 2 starts.
Boy, it's hard to believe this White Sox staff, whole pitching staff, having difficulty. Pitch to Elvis is on the outside corner. White Sox come in with a staff ERA of 4.9. That is 14th in the American League out of 15 teams. It's outside. And when you have Chris Sale and Jose Quintana and people like that on the staff, you're not used to seeing ERAs that high. 1-1 pitch. 2 balls and a strike now. Elvis has hit safely in 15 of the 16 games in which the Rangers have played. He has started every ball game for them. 2-1 pitch. 3 balls and a strike. So Elvis trying to get aboard here with 1 out. Alex Rios, the DH. He is waiting in the on-deck circle.
Paulino's given up a lot of hits. He's also given up a lot of walks. He's walked 9 batters in 14 and 2/3. Giving up a lot of base runners.
30-year-old right-hander goes to the wind, the payoff pitch. Outside, ball 4. Well, Elvis draws the 1-out walk. Now Alex Rios. Take a look at the White Sox defense behind Paulino tonight. De Aza in left, Eaton in center. Viciedo is in right. Jose Abreu at first. Leury Garcia is the second baseman. Alexei Ramirez at short. Marcus Semien is the third baseman, and Tyler Flowers is catching. Felipe Paulino is on the hill tonight for Robert Ventura's club. Rio steps in batting at .286. A home run, 7 RBI. High and tight, almost hit it. Spinning out of the way. Alex avoided that contact. Rio starting to come back around. He went through about a 7-game span where he just really struggled. In the last couple of games, though, he started to swing the bat much better. Line drive, base hit to center. Elvis, the second, he's going to round and head to third. Here comes the throw from Eaton. The slide, he's safe, and into second goes Rio. Good aggressive Rangers base running. Second and third with 1 out for Prince Fielder.
Well, Eaton has a strong arm and made a great throw. Problem was he didn't have a real good chance of getting him in the first place. And all he did was take away the possibility of a double play and allow Alex to go into second base. He gets to the ball pretty quickly. I didn't think it would be a close play at all. But if we get a shot at the throw he makes, he uncorks a strong, accurate throw, but without much of a chance to get him. That throw's got to come into second base, keep the double play in order.
Yep. Fielder takes high, ball 1. The curveball missed. Prince Fielder has faced Paulino 13 times. He has 4 hits and 8 official at-bats. 2 of those are home runs. And he has driven in 5. Got a couple of Ranger teammates out there at second and third. Paulino working from the stretch. Check swing. And it's off the plate outside.
Great look. And a strong throw. Just didn't have a chance to get him. Alex kind of waltzes into second base.
Fielder, 1 home run, 4 driven in thus far. Off to a slow start. And he's going to get yet another intentional walk.
Here comes Big Kevin. He likes this situation. Takes it personal.
Yep. Fielder now with his 7th intentional walk as Kevin Kuzminoff looks on. 7 intentional walks in the last 8 games for Fielder.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do. You've got a guy like Prince up there. You want to set up the double play. The good part for the Rangers is more often than not when they've tried that, he's come up and hit the ball hard somewhere. Yesterday, right off the bat, he did that. Line to double to left field.
Kuzminoff up there with Andrus at third, Rios at second, Fielder at first. Kevin at .414, a home run and 6 driven in. He is a Ranger offensive leader in a lot of categories, despite only being here since the 9th of April. Makes the first pitch, belt high strike. It's 0-1. Kuzminoff seeing his first action at the major league level since 2011. He was with the Colorado Rockies at the tail end of that year. 0-1 pitch. Ground ball toward the hole. Knocked down. There will be no play on anyone. And Kuzminoff will have an RBI on the ground ball to short. The Rangers lead 1-0.
We talked about this the other day. That more often than not, you see infielders today try to make that play by sliding, going down on one knee. That's not the way that they used to make it. At least when we played.
Nope.
But that's the way they try to make it now. So there must be some advantage to doing it that way. I'm not sure what it is, other than you get down low and maybe it helps you get your throw off better than if you just bent down to try to catch the ball.
Now that's going to be a single and an RBI, and now it's Jim Adduci with his first start of the year.
It just looks like, you know, if you stay up and backhand that ball, it's not that tough a play.
Well,
you slide into it and make it a tough play.
Yeah, and it also limits you in what you can do with the ball.
Yeah.
Even if you get it cleanly in your glove.
Well, if the guy runs past third base, it's going to be hard to throw it to third if you wanted to make an adjustment. I'm not an infielder, but I just don't see the advantage of doing that.
I don't either. It seems like watching that replay, if he'd stayed on his feet, he might have had a shot at a force at third base.
Yeah.
Going that way with his momentum.
Yeah.
But Rangers will take it. 1 run across, still bases loaded. 1-1 the count to Adduci. Slowly hit to first. The only play they'll have is at first. Adduci is out. Rios comes down the line. The RBI to Jim Adduci. The Rangers lead 2-0. Well, if you're not going to hit the ball hard, at least hit it in the right spot.
Yeah, if you're going to hit a ground ball to the infield, hit it softly so they can't turn a double play. Pick up an RBI and still got 2 men out there in scoring position. Chance for a really big inning if Donnie can sneak one in there.
Well, the Rangers, 2 runs here in this first inning. Shades of yesterday, they put up a 3 spot. And Donnie Murphy trying to at least match that. Takes a good slider on the outside corner for strike 1.
Yeah, yesterday, Kuzminoff doubled to drive in the first one, and then Mitch Moreland lined a single to drive in 2.
Kuzminoff at second, getting his lead. Over at third, Prince Fielder. And Murphy fouls it off to the right. He's down on the count now. No balls and 2 strikes. Donnie hitting .242. No home runs and 4 driven in. 3 for 10 on this homestand. He's scored 3 times with 4 walks. Very productive 7 games of this homestand. Paulino set for the 0-2 pitch. 1-2. Paulino now getting that pitch count up, and that's been a problem for him. He's averaged better than 20 pitches an inning. And he's up over 21. Going to be 22 now. Check swing, and the pitch is low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Don Cooper, the longtime pitching coach of the Chicago White Sox. He's done a lot of head scratching in the early going here with the troubles that the staff has had. Not used to dealing with that in Chicago. On the south side. North side's a different story.
And the one area they've really struggled is in the bullpen. Over the years, they've usually had 3 or 4 really good arms out in their bullpen. They might still have the good arms. They're just not having much success right now.
Next pitch is outside. The count is now full.
All right,
Murphy.
Right,
Murphy's trying to extend the inning. Will be followed by Leonis Martin.
Talking about the base runners, there's been a couple of hits, a couple of walks, one intentionally. 13 balls, 10 strikes.
Paulino, a long look into Flowers. Now the right-hander sets at the belt. Payoff pitch. He is coming. Got away with an off-speed pitch and stayed right in the heart of the plate. And Murphy just enough off balance that all he could do was foul it off. Crowd still filing in. Expecting pretty large crowds over this holiday weekend. Hope you all have a safe and happy Easter weekend. Again, the 3-2 pitch. Good rip of that fastball. Still 3-2.
Paulino popped that one in there at 96 miles an hour. He aired it out. He's always had a good arm. You know, a kid like this, he's 30 years old. His career record is 13-34. His career ERA is 5.04, and he's coming off a year with Tommy John surgery. So it tells you that he must have a good arm for a team that's going to give him a $1.7 million contract for this year. He's got a pretty good agent to go along with it.
And call strike 3. Breaking ball came over the outside corner, and Murphy caught looking. The Rangers get a couple on 2 hits and lead 2 after 1. Rangers 2, White Sox nothing. Hello to Jane Slater. Jane, welcome.
Well, good evening, Steve. If it's all right, I'd like to talk about a special group. The Rangers Foundation is proud to support Chapel Hill Academy. It's there that Lena Pope has been providing quality tuition-free education for the elementary students. Chapel Hill Academy creates a solid foundation and support system for each student and gives their families the tools they need to help their child succeed. After more than 80 years, Lena Pope is still creating hope, happiness, and success for children and their families. To learn more, visit lenapopehome.org. Guys, back to you.
All right, Jane, thank you. That's a great organization. They do a lot of super work. Paul Konerko leading things off. This is a farewell tour, if you will, around Major League Baseball. He's announced he'll retire at the end of the year. Handling the DH chores tonight. He is just 1 for 13 so far this year. Breaking ball hangs outside for Martin Perez. A ball and a strike.
He had a great career with the White Sox, obviously. As good as he's been and as long as he's been there, he is right near the top in most offensive categories as a White Sox.
Elvis up with that one neatly. That is out number 1. Well, Elvis's first action tonight at shortstop. Now Alexei Ramirez, and as cold as Konerko has been, Alexei Ramirez has been just that hot. A couple of young ladies waiting for the dot race, apparently. I got my Ozarka dot race card. Ramirez, 381. That leads the American League. About a 426 average. He's hit safely in all 16 of the games the White Sox have played. He's not going to, if that comes down, he's going to be 0 for 1. It does. Into Chirino's glove. 2 out. A little bit over anxious on that off-speed pitch. And Martin Perez, thank you very much. Well, how about 4 pitches this inning and 2 outs?
Yeah, he's got a chance if he gets a quick out here. Have less than 20 pitches through 2 innings with a couple of strikeouts.
Alejandro De Aza, the left fielder, left-handed hitter, takes strike 1. De Aza, some power this year, 3 home runs, 6 RBI, but hitting only 176. 1 ball and 1 strike.
De Aza hit 17 home runs last year. Not following the White Sox that closely, I wouldn't have realized he hit 17 home runs. Got some power.
Yep. Rip and a miss. 1 and 2. De Aza, as you would suspect, a little bit better against right-handers than left-handers. And the pitch is low. That evens things out. 2 and 2 the count. 1 for 11 this year against left-handed pitching. Now time call. Martin Perez and his battery mate, Robinson Chirinos, having a little trouble getting together on signs. Chirinos has been behind the plate for every Perez start this year. Got him swinging. Good pitch down and in. 9 pitches in the inning. A 1-2-3 frame. And we have finished 1.5 at Globe Life Park. Rangers 2, White Sox nothing on TXA 21. 469-209-2121. If you read your text in the postgame show tonight, you'll receive a $50 sporting good gift card courtesy of Metro PCS. Leonys Martin, the number 8 hitter in the Rangers order tonight. Down in the count after the foul ball, 0-1. Martin at 286. Big breaking ball, and he swung through it. Paulino out in front of the count, 0-2. Martin, and it has been very much a roller coaster year so far for Leonys. Started off first 4 games very hot, then cooled off for a while. Now he's gotten back on the warm side of the ledger. In the dirt, swung on and missed, and Martin is going to say he foul tipped it, but that's not Jeff Kellogg saying no, you did not foul tip it. That's a strikeout. 1 gone.
You got 2 straight big curveballs, and pretty obvious he didn't foul tip it, but I guess it's worth a try.
Well, 1 away. Here's Robinson Chirinos. A strike to the inside corner. Chirinos batting 160, a home run, and 3 driven in. Paulino back to the plate. 1-1 the count. Chirinos just 2 out of 12 on this homestand. This is 8th start behind the plate overall. Pitch outside, it's 2-1. Robinson, you remember the night that he had in Boston 9 days ago. Had the home run, the bases loaded walk in the same inning. But since then, just 2 for 14. Ahead of the count here, though, 3-1. Trying to get aboard. He's the number 9 hitter. Shin-Soo Choo, the leadoff man, is waiting in the on-deck circle. 3-1 pitch. Up the middle, into center field, a base hit.
That's the way to take advantage of the 3-0 count. He's thrown some pretty good breaking balls, but he threw him a fastball down in the strike zone, and Robinson jumped on it, drove it up the middle.
A well-stroked base hit. Chirinos at first, and Choo coming up for his second at bat.
3-1 pitch, fastball, nice swing, hard hit ball.
Knuckleball. Hit it real square.
Yep.
Just knuckled right back through the middle. Choo went after the first pitch that he saw in the game tonight and grounded to first. 1 ball, no strikes. Shin-Soo, as you can see, a 288 average. That on-base percentage, though, still up above 400. Came in at 417, and it's dropped to maybe a 2 points or so. Inside corner for a strike. 1-1. Third in the American League in number of times on base for Shin-Soo Choo. 30 times this year he's been on base, and he's trying to join Robinson Chirinos aboard here in the second. Checked his swing, thought it might have been a little high, but Jeff Kellogg will ring up the strike.
Well, both those pitches were called strikes. That's a pretty big strike zone from 2 to 3. Generally, you don't see that pitch called a strike.
Paulino ready, and the 1-2. Call strike 3. At the inside corner, Choo backing away, and Paulino gets his 3rd strikeout.
It's going to be it would be a tough at bat for anybody if those pitches are called strikes. 2 right on the inside corner. Those are balls that could go either way, technically touching the strike zone. So those are good pitches. The other one, though, up and away, looked like it might have been a little bit out of the strike zone. But credit Paulino for making that 2-strike pitch right where he wanted to.
Now, Chirinos remains at first. 2 outs now. Elvis, who walked his first time up, steps in there. Andrus walked and came around to score on the RBI infield single from Kevin Kuzminoff. Andrus, a 4-game hitting streak. A couple of doubles for Elvis over that span as Paulino comes to him. And the breaking ball hangs inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Paulino, a 30-year-old out of the Dominican Republic. Hasn't really pitched much since 2011. Hard hit off the glove of Ramirez into left center field. Chirinos headed around to third. The throw comes into second this time. And Elvis, a scorched base hit into center, first and third, with 2 outs for Alex Rios.
They're talking about sliding after a ground ball. That might have been one that was a good thing he did slide, because you stand up, the way that ball hopped, it might have hit you right in the face. I'd slide to get out of the way of that thing. That was a 100-mile-an-hour rocket taking a bad hop. Not a bad idea getting out of the way of that thing. I don't blame him.
He bailed.
Yeah, I would have bailed too.
Don't blame him one bit.
Wave at it and hope you get lucky and it sticks in your glove.
It looked like the ball was starting to hook back to him a little bit too. And
it did.
No, I don't want any part of that. Well, first and third, Rangers now with 4 hits. Alex Rios, who singled his first time, trying to pick up Chirinos from third. There goes Elvis. The pitch is by Flowers all the way to the backstop, and it comes right back to him. And that prevents Chirinos from trying to score, but Elvis gets the stolen base.
Well, early in the season, first homestand, you don't have the slightest idea where that ball's going when it goes by the catcher. The other night, this ball went by the catcher and ended up near the third baseman. Rangers scored the tying run late in the ball game. Today, he couldn't even take 2 steps toward home plate on that. Ball was back to the catcher. You just have to be alert, I guess, and see where it goes.
Elvis with his 7th stolen base of the year. 1-0 the count. Now 2-0. Well, you know, back there, it's not exactly straight across for very far. There's a couple of angles back there, so if the pitch is really wild off the side, like we saw the other night with Fernando Rodney, it hits the angled wall. It gets to the right side, and then it'll bounce back at a different angle. There's a breaking ball that nibbles on the inside corner for a strike. Two balls, 1 strike. Paulino to the plate. Hard hit. Oh, gloved at third base by Semien. Look what I found. Holy cow. Easter came a couple days early. No, the Rangers get a couple of hits, but Strand too on that great defensive play by Marcus Semien, the third baseman. On to the third. 2-0 Texans. 12 years of service. You can join the millions of subscribers and watch every out-of-market game live on True HD on over 400 devices. All you have to do is visit TexasRangers.com for details. A good crowd on hand here tonight. Looks to be 37, maybe 38,000. Watching the Friday night edition of Rangers baseball. Martin Perez on the hill has dispatched the White Sox pretty quickly. He was sent down the last 6 after a leadoff single in the first by Adam Eaton. And he'll now work to Tyler Flowers, a hot-hitting catcher. 1 ball, no strikes. Flowers hitting at .395 for the year. Home run 6 driven in. He would be leading the American League with that average, but he doesn't have enough at-bats to qualify.
He's got to be hitting about 600 when he puts the ball in play. 500. Struck out 18 times already. Hitting .395.
320 with 4 runs driven in the last 8 ball games. He went 7 straight plate appearances with a base hit. And that's a record for catchers for him. The White Sox. That's a strike. 1-2 now as Martin Perez really pounding that strike zone, as he likes to say.
Last year he hit .195 with 256 at bats, so he's much improved early in this year.
Broken bat. Prince Fielder has it. He's going to race to the bag with Flowers.
Flowers going to slow up too, boy.
Yeah, you don't want to run into Prince going full speed.
That was one where Prince said, "I'm coming. I'm not stopping. You take your chances." And most people are going to slow up a little bit rather than risk that collision.
Yeah, I think that game of chicken is going to be won all day long by Prince Fielder.
Well, Perez falls off toward third and can't get there. Prince knows I got to take it myself.
Yep.
I don't know anybody that would have done anything other than that.
Nope. That's a good play by Fielder. Well, 1 out, and here's the former Ranger, Leury Garcia. Switch hitter up there from the right side as Martin Perez deals a bit low for ball 1. Remember, Leury over to the White Sox, part of the deal that brought Alex Rios to the Rangers last year. 1-0 pitch on the inside corner. Garcia 0-1 as a pitcher this year. Had to finish out the 14-inning game that the White Sox and Red Sox played the other night. Pitched the last inning, and Robin Ventura had gotten himself out of pitches. Martin in a hurry, and Leonis can't get there. He plays on a hop. Going into second, standing is Leury Garcia, a 1-out double. Has him aboard for the top of the order. Well, Garcia with the 2-bagger.
A low fastball. Pretty nice job of getting that ball in the air. Most guys that have seen that pitch this year have hit a ground ball to shortstop.
And Ranger fans will remember Garcia runs extremely well, so no chance to cut him off at the pass. Now Garcia at second, 1 out. Adam Eaton, who singled to center field in the first, back up there for his second at bat and takes way inside for ball 1. Eaton with that single now has the batting average up just a tick shy of 300. Ranger infield plays him around to the right. Kevin Kuzminoff, the third baseman, in front of the bag because Eaton has pretty good speed. Inside, 2-0. Martin Perez, the 23-year-old, towing the rubber, has the sign he wants from Chirinos. Fires a fastball right through there, and it's 2-1. Good look at that defense up the middle. You can see the center fielder, Leonis Martin, well over to left center field. And way off the line and right, Jim Adduci. Good breaking ball that catches the outside corner. It's 2-2.
If you can throw it near the corners, you got a good chance to get the call tonight. Jeff Kellogg with a liberal strike zone. Both pitchers should know it by now. And you're going to say liberal strike zone. That ball's touching the outside corner. So
right.
It's not like he gave him something he didn't deserve. But it was called.
Did he go around? Yes, he did. Jeff Kellogg doesn't need help on that one. Big strikeout for Martin Perez. 2 away. And Marcus Semien coming up. Take a look at our Globe Life quote of the day. Ron Washington talking about Martin Perez, his demeanor, the way he continues to attack hitters, the adjustment he makes throughout innings. Those are the keys to success for a pitcher, besides the fact that he has good stuff. That always helps, too. But that's exactly right. That's what we've seen from Martin Perez.
He just made 2 good pitches on Eaton. He got the slider, just barely hit the outside corner for a called strike. Now Eaton has 2 strikes on him. He throws him the same pitch, but about 6 inches more outside, and he can't lay off it. That's pretty much exactly where he wanted to throw that last one to get him to swing at it.
4 strikeouts now for the Ranger left-hander. Working to Marcus Semien, who struck out his first time. Slowly hit down the third baseline. That will dribble off into foul territory. And the count moves to 1-1. Joe McEwing, the third base coach, a nice play on that hard hit ground ball. And he made a fan forever. There's Joe. A ball and a strike. Leury Garcia, the runner at second base. Rangers leading 2-0, and Martin Perez trying to keep it at that score. 2-1. Semien hitting .333 on the road. Look at the strikeouts in the American League. Semien with 21 of them now. Right up near the top. Slowly hit out towards short. Elvis plays the hop on to first, and that'll do it. Good job of pitching by Martin Perez, working around the 1-out double. A runner stranded for the White Sox. 2-0 Texas as we head to the bottom of the third. Just an ever so slight breeze drifting in from right field as Prince Fielder starts off the Ranger third. 2-0 Texas. Fielder drew the intentional walk in the first inning. That's his 7th intentional walk on this homestand. It's fouled away off the end of the bat. 0-2 now.
The Rangers had a great chance to score in the second. It was an unbelievable play that Semien made to end the inning on Alex Rios. Rangers hit some hard balls in that inning. Chirinos, Andrus, and Rios.
Prince defensively slapping that out of play down the left side. Well, as always now, and I think we're going to see this from everybody, the defensive alignment, the shift, the extreme shift against Fielder. On the infield, everybody around to the right side.
That's pretty much the standard formation right now.
And Fielder takes that fastball off the front shoulder. He'll go to first base. One intentional walk, now a hit by pitch. Fielder's been aboard both times tonight. Paulino now will deal with Kevin Kuzminoff, who had an infield RBI single in the first inning. He drove home the first Ranger run, and for Kuzminoff now 7 RBI. Tied him with Alex Rios and Mitch Moreland for the team leadership. Thought about taking a hack at it, took it. It's a strike anyway.
Good pitch right in the top part of the strike zone. Good pitcher's pitch. Not a good pitch to hit, especially with no balls and no strikes.
That one hung inside, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, every once in a while, you can get that breaking ball in the inside corner to a guy, right-hander to a right-hander, but I wouldn't try to throw it there too often.
Did you ever try to throw that on purpose? That
pitch
inside heavy?
Occasionally. That's a one time a game to a hitter. For me, it was anyway. Kuzminoff, a towering fly ball to right. In and toward the line, Viciedo in fair territory makes the grab. That is out number 1, and we'll bring up Jim Adduci. Yeah, that's kind of the pitch in a spot I'd save for when I need it. The guy hadn't seen it before.
Most of them, when you see them in there, are just pitches that they've left in there that they intended to throw away. But if you can do it on purpose and control it, if you can start it right at the guy and bring it on the inside corner, that's a tough pitch to hit.
Adduci also had an RBI. He grounded out with the bases full and scored a run. Takes the breaking ball, low and away for ball 1. Adduci hitting .333 for the season. As we mentioned, his first start of the year. He'd been called upon to pinch hit a number of times. And he had done a very good job pinch hitting for Ron Washington. That's high and away. 2-0. Adduci 2 out of 6 as a pinch hitter, and both his RBI prior to the at bat in the first came as a pinch hitter. Paulino ready, and the 2-0 on the outside corner. Rangers 2 runs on 4 hits thus far. The White Sox no runs on 2 hits. Play in the bottom of the 3rd inning here at Globe Life Park. Fielder not being held closely at first. And a check swing. Did he go around? Yes, he did, according to Jeff Kellogg. That evens the count now at 2-2. See Jose Abreu playing a couple of steps in front of Prince Fielder as he takes his lead. Adduci, ground ball, base hit to right. Fielder will check in at second as Viciedo gets to the ball quickly, and Jim Adduci taking advantage of the first baseman holding the runner fairly close. That's his first hit of the evening.
We've seen that curveball a couple of times. That one inside part of the plate allowed him to get a decent part of the bat on the ball and find the hole between first and second. Could be a bunt situation right here. We'll see.
First and second, one out. And Donnie Murphy up there.
White Sox don't think it is. Oh, there's one out. Sorry, Buzz. I was thinking there's no outs.
It's okay.
No wonder they're not thinking it's a bunt situation.
Well, it could be. With a third baseman back.
It could be a drag bunt.
Yeah. Well, he might try to bunt his way aboard. Murphy called out on strikes his first time. First ball swinging, sends it to center field. Eaton going back, still going back, makes the catch, tagging at second and tagging at first. The runner's trying to advance and safe at second. As the throw almost beat a Ducey there. It's a good thing he was fast because that was a heck of a throw by Adam Eaton.
Yeah, you don't generally see center fielders that can throw like these two center fielders. We know how Martin can throw, and we've seen two throws by Adam Eaton in center field that have been excellent, not just because of the arm strength, but also because of the accuracy. He winds up and throws another strike to the fielder, and Ducey needed all his speed to be safe at second base.
So second and third now with two outs. Leonys Martin went down swinging at the slow breaking balls the first time up. Leonys hitting at 280 as Paulino sets. Hard hit, fair ball down the right field line. Fielder scored, a Ducey right behind him, headed to second and not stopping there. Into third with a sliding triple, Leonys Martin, and the Rangers lead 4-0. Second triple of the year for Leonys Martin.
Didn't waste any time. He jumped on that pitch and ripped it down the right field line. Might have had a chance to hold him at second or throw him out at third if they hit the cutoff man, but Luciano, I don't know if he even saw the cutoff man. Pitch up and in. Quick back. And he kept it fair, too, right down the line. It looked like the Rangers were going to get two last inning just like that on the call that Alex Rios hit. But Semien made a great play. This time it's over the first baseman's head. There's nothing they can do about it. And Martin, with his excellent speed, ends up at third.
Well, 4-0 Rangers. Here's Robinson Chirinos. He hammers one deep to left field. Going back to Ozza. Goodbye. Second home run of the year for Robinson Chirinos. It is 6-0 Rangers.
Really hit the ball hard through 3 innings. Not a fluke, but they had 7 hits and 6 runs.
Nine home runs this season for the Rangers. Back to the top of the order for the third time in 3 innings. Here's Shin-Soo Choo.
There's one Ranger with more than 1 home run.
That would be Robinson Chirinos.
That's Robinson Chirinos.
First one. Yeah, you could win a few bets on that little factoid.
Yeah. 17 games into the year, which Ranger would have more than 1 home run?
Chu has grounded out and struck out. Fouls that pitch away. He's down in the count now. A ball and 2 strikes. The Rangers 2 in the first, 4 here in the third inning. And Felipe Paulino again having trouble keeping the ball in the ballpark. The home run has been a real problem for him. That's inside. And the count is 2-2.
Well, he walked Elvis to start the 2-run rally in the first. He hit Prince Fielder to start this 4-run rally here in the third.
The home run by Chirinos, the 5th that he's given up this year in 17 innings.
Yeah, their bullpen has not done very well this year, and they've been used a lot recently. You mentioned that Leury Garcia had to finish up the game the other day, and so he's getting pounded right now, and there's no one warming up in the bullpen, so he's going to be out there for a while. It's a day where they're saying to him, it doesn't really matter what the score is, but you're going to have to give us more than 100 pitches and as many innings as you can get. Robin Ventura doesn't have much of a choice today.
Yeah, and Robinson Ventura was quoted the other night as saying, it just got to the point where I used my guys up because I didn't want to use one of them up.
Yeah.
But I used all the pitchers in the bullpen. That's why Garcia had to pitch the 14th. Chu to left center field. Going back is Diaza. He can't get it. It's off the wall on a couple of hops. Into second with a stand-up 2-out double. Shin-Soo Choo. And the Rangers have hit for the cycle here in the third inning.
Well, Don Cooper's going to come out. I don't know what he's going to be able to tell Paulino. Other than, look, big guy, there's no one warming up. Yeah. So we apologize, but you're going to have to stay out there.
I'd say that probably is a big part of his speech to him right about now.
Yeah. Generally, we'd bail you out, but right now we can't.
Paulino talking with Tyler Flowers, the catcher. Chu at second. All the run scoring now has happened with 2 outs. The 2-run triple by Leonis Martin, the 2-run home run by Robinson Chirinos. Shin-Soo Choo with the double, and Elvis steps to the plate 1 for 1 with a walk and a run scored. Andrus hitting at .313. That gets by Flowers all the way to the backstop. Chu, after hesitating, finally picked the ball up, and he was down at third.
Yeah, well, you saw the catcher still crouched and probably couldn't see the ball go through his legs. He wasn't sure where it was.
Let's rule the wild pitch. 1 ball, no strikes to Andrews. High and tight. Elvis just 1 for 10 this year with runners in scoring position. Got a chance here to make that a little more respectable percentage. Takes the pitch inside, and the count goes to 3-0. Well, Andrews trying to become the 4th straight Ranger to reach base with 2 outs. Alex Rios will wait in the on-deck circle. Shin-Soo Choo down there at third. 3-0 pitch. Belt high strike.
Larry Garcia might get into this game in the 6th inning.
He might. Well, I'm not sure he's had enough rest. He may have to give another day off.
He might be sore.
Elvis chops and foul. That runs the count full. Well, Paulino now up over 70 pitches. And he's not out of the 3rd inning yet. Rangers have really made him work. 71 pitches, 42 strikes, 29 balls. The payoff pitch coming. Outside, ball 4. Andrus draws his 2nd walk of the night. Runners at the corners, and Alex Rios stepping to the plate. Rios, the 9th Ranger to come to bat against Paulino here in the 3rd inning. The last time that Rios was up in the 2nd, he had runners at 2nd and 3rd, and scorched one to 3rd base, and Marcus Semien made a marvelous play to have that ball stick in his glove.
I don't know how he caught that ball.
Truth be told, I'm not sure he knew how he caught the ball either.
It was a beautiful play, though.
It was.
Saved 2 runs.
Well, Rios, the former White Sox, steps in 1 for 2. Scored a run in the 1st inning as Elvis at first, Chu at third. Paulino will drive Andrus back. Elvis had a stolen base, his 7th of the year. In the second inning, they're the American League leaders. He's tied with Jacoby Ellsbury of the Yankees. The league leadership with 7 thefts. There he goes. Pitch is a ball, and there will be no throw as he stands at second base with the 8th stolen base and the outright leadership in the American League. Tyler Flowers never even looked at Elvis.
He might as well pitch from a windup right there.
Yep. 1-0. 2-0. .40 home runs, 70 steals since 2012. How about Alex Rios? Mike Trout, of course, the most, but Rios in pretty elite company. There's a strike. It's 2-1. That was the 31st pitch of this inning for Paulino.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going to happen with this at bat, but as much as Robin Ventura wants him to pitch a couple more innings, he might have to get somebody up.
Up the middle, into center field, a base hit. Drew is home. Here comes Andrus. A 2-run single for Alex Rios. It is 8-0 Texas.
Well, Alex missed a chance for a couple of runs bad win last inning, but he picks up a couple of this inning. Fastball in, fights it off right straight up the middle.
Well, Prince Fielder, who began this inning by being hit by a pitch, and he scored on the triple by Leonis Martin, steps in for the second time. Ball 1 is inside. Fielder, intentional walk to go along with the hit by pitch. He has scored a run. Got Rios at first, still 2 outs. Rangers have had 5 consecutive runners reach base with 2 outs here in the 3rd inning. That ball's hit hard to right field. It's hooking into the corner. One hop and off the wall. Rios being waved around third. Here comes the throw. The slide. He is safe at the plate. Great slide by Alex Rios. Prince Fielder, the RBI double. It is 9-0 Texas.
As a hitter with a man on first, if you hit that same ball and they get it to home plate that fast and that accurately, and you end up with an RBI, you know one thing: you've got a great base runner on first base, because he needed to cut those corners and exhibit excellent speed, because the White Sox ran that cutoff play just about perfectly. It's a hanging breaking ball that Prince rips down the right field line, and Viciedo gets it to the cutoff man quickly. Prince is not sure it's going to stay fair. It bounces right straight to him. Garcia turns and fires a strike home, a little bit off the bag, and he just barely got home. And Garcia had to pitch a little bit yesterday. He's got a good infield arm, even though he's a second baseman.
Here's Kevin Kuzminoff, and the first pitch gets away from Flowers. That fielder will advance 90 feet on the wild pitch. Second wild pitch of the inning. And Robin Ventura is saying, wow.
It's not fun.
No.
It's painful.
You know, as a manager, you hate to do that to anybody and stay out there. They're going to get some action in their bullpen now because Robin just can't go with him any longer. I mean, Zach Putnam, who is just just called up, I should say, by the White Sox today.
Yeah, they probably want to use him for several innings.
There's a bullet flagged down by Semien, and that'll do it
for the Rangers. But they score 7 times. They strand 1 after 3. Rangers 9, White Sox nothing on TXA 21. Sports City Toyota. Log on to sportscitytoyota.com. Ranger gear everywhere at Globe Live Park tonight. And you look down in the field, it's everywhere too, all around the base paths. And the beneficiary of a lot of that support, the man in your picture, that would be Martin Perez. 9-0 is the advantage that he takes to the hill for the 4th inning. Jose Abreu starts things off, and the first pitch is ball 1. Abreu a strikeout back in the 1st inning. White Sox, a couple of hits in the first 3 frames. And a tailing fastball. A ball and a strike now to Abreu.
Boy, it was. He swung at that like it was a changeup. Boy, great movement on it.
And the next pitch is a knee-high strike. 1-2. Abreu looks big on your screen. That's because he is. He goes 6'3", about 255. 1-2 pitch. Did he go around? Yes, he did. The appeal down to Bob Davidson. At first said, yep, that's a strike. And that'll be punch out number 5 for Martin Perez. 1 gone. And very quickly, let's say hello to James Slater again. James.
Hey, guys. Well, I decided to come hang out in the upper reserve section during that 3rd inning, and I ran into Elvis's red-bearded buddy.
Sure, yeah. Go on. I'm wearing Elvis Andrews shirt right now, so, yeah. I started growing this after high school.
Well, I'm loving the look that you've got going here. Obviously, I've had plenty of time now to catch the view after that bottom of the 3rd here. Here's the cool deal. These are great seats this Sunday. They're going for $5. So all you got to do is put in the code SPRING when you order online. Call 972-RANGERS or go to the first base ticket office. Like I said, pretty sweet deal for that Sunday game. That one's going to be at 2:05. Come check it out, and you might run into this guy again. You going to be out here on Sunday?
I might. All I have to say is fear the beard. So.
Fear the beard, and you can't miss him. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks, Jane. His red-bearded cousin. Okay. Yeah, I see the similarity.
Make sure nothing's growing in there.
I think they have to send that thing through security separately when you go to the airport. Well, 2 outs here in the 4th inning. And Paul Konerko, designated hitter, coming up for his second at bat. Konerko, a ground ball to short his first time. 1 ball, no strikes. Konerko, as Tom told you, a great career with the White Sox, and he is moving up the ladder to near the top spot or at the top spot in virtually every offensive category. Nice play by Martin Perez to regroup and get Konerko on the shot off of his foot. A skate save and a dandy. 3 up, 3 down after 3.5. 9-0 Texas. Unlimited grilled chicken sandwiches, hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, peanuts, soft drink, and it's all for one low price. The all-you-can-eat buffet is served in the air-conditioned upper home run porch grill. Get your tickets today at TexasRangers.com, or if you prefer, you can call 972-RANGERS. Jim Adduci leading off in the Ranger 4th inning. Adduci had a single and scored a run in the 3rd. Rangers plating 7 runs. That's their biggest inning this year. Pitch fouled out of play. 5 had been the high water mark prior to tonight. And Felipe Paulino touched for 7 in the 3rd inning. Last time the Rangers eclipsed 7 inning, you have to go back to last August 19th, when they scored 11 against the Astros. Two and 2 is the count. Jeff Kellogg going out to deliver the ball to Paulino and give Tyler Flowers a little bit of a break, see if he can get his eyes unstuck after that foul tip. Well, we have a second here. One thing we haven't mentioned to you. Earlier today, the Rangers announced that Tanner Scheppers was going to go on the 15-day disabled list with some right elbow discomfort. Said it had been bothering him for a while, and Aaron Porreta, the big left-hander, called up to take Scheppers' place on the 25-man roster. Elbow inflammation, and Aaron Porreta coming up from AAA. The 2-2. And another chopper foul. A lot of good things going on in that Ranger dugout. A lot of good things coming out of it, too, like the guys racing around the base paths, swinging the bats, pitching, catching the balls. Grounder cut off by Garcia. He drops it, and Adduci will be safe.
Valerio Garcia was playing way over in the hole and had a long way to go up the middle. And with the Ducey speed, they're going to rule that a base hit.
You can see where he starts from, shaded way over toward first, and how far he's got to go to field this ball. He's got a strong arm. He would have had a chance to make the play if he's able to come up with it. Ball hits in his glove and kicks out. Paulino going to be out there for 100 pitches one way or the other.
Yep.
They're just hoping he can get through this inning and be one less inning that the bullpen has to pitch today.
Donnie Murphy, first ball swinging and pops it up down the right side. That is going to twist back into the fifth row and out of play. It is 0-1. Donnie Murphy, the only Ranger that has not been on base tonight. Only Ranger that doesn't have at least one hit. He has struck out and flied to center field. Rangers 9 runs on 11 hits this evening. Paulino with the 0-1 pitch. Murphy making his 10th start of the season at second base. He has started 8 of the last 11. The breaking ball right down at his shoe tops. It's 2-1. The Rangers turning things around offensively. In the first 7 games of this homestand, coming into tonight, they were hitting just .251. That had dropped them down to a season average of .260, but that's gone up tonight. 11 hits in the first 3 innings plus. A rip and a miss, and it's 2-2. Rangers home batting entering tonight was a .270. That was good for 4th in the American League. And that figure will jump up a little bit. Alex Rios has had a good evening with a couple of hits. High and tight, and the count is full to Murphy. Donnie hitting 7th to be followed by Leonys Martin.
If Paulino walks him, he's got a chance to get to 100 pitches before he gets credit for an out in the 4th inning.
92 of them now. Right-hander set, the 3-2 pitch. Back behind third. Siemens to second. On to first, a double play. Around the horn they go, and they remove the leadoff man Ducey from first. And Murphy grounds out. That is the 14th double play the Rangers have grounded into this year.
Well, Robin Ventura is probably as happy to see that double play as he has been a double play all year. Trying to get that extra inning out of Paulino to save that extra inning for his bullpen. It's not just what the bullpen came in today feeling, as tired as they are, but it's what happens the rest of this series. They've got a game tomorrow and one the day game the next day. He's trying to make sure that he's got a rested bullpen for the next 2 games.
1-1 to Martin. And Zach Putnam again, the right-hander out there in the bullpen. Leonys a 2-run triple his last time up. That was the first of 5 consecutive Rangers to reach base with 2 outs. Make that 6 consecutive to reach base with 2 outs. 2-1 the count. 2-2. Martin, like the ball club, hitting much better at home. Came into tonight 10th in the American League with his .387 average in this ballpark. Paulino back to him. That ball is hit well to right field. Looking up is Viciero. Goodbye. Leonys Martin with his first home run of the year. And the Rangers have gone double digits. 10-0.
first time up on a couple of curveballs. But he's zeroed in since then. Ripped a triple down the line. And now a home run into the second row of the right field seats. The curveballs he missed when he struck out were down. That one stayed up in the strike zone. And he took advantage of that opportunity.
Now here's Robinson Chirinos, who homered his last time. Another look at that low line drive off the bat of Leonis Martin, first home run of the year. Pitch is outside. Gary Pettis, a low 5 to Leonis Martin. 3 balls and no strikes.
When you jam 101 pitches into 4 innings, you got to be one strong guy not to be tired right now.
Yeah.
He's got to be exhausted. He's just trying to suck it up and somehow get through this inning. And when it's all over and done with, he's going to give up 12 hits and 10 runs. And Robin Ventura is probably going to thank him for sticking it out there and staying in that extra inning.
And Chirinos has his second, the third hit tonight. Robinson, a pair of singles and a home run, and I think that's probably going to do it. As Robin Ventura said, okay, that's enough. I can't go anymore. Well, Ventura on his way to the mound. We're very disappointed. Felipe Paulino, as Zach Putnam finishes off his warm-up tosses in the bullpen. Ventura giving Paulino a pat on the back and saying thanks for the effort anyway. So a pitching change underway. We will take a timeout, tell you about Zach Putnam when we come back on TXA 21. Putnam entering a very unenviable situation with 10 runs across and only being the bottom of the 4th inning.
Well, Putnam was pitching in AAA Charlotte prior to the call up to the big leagues, pitching well there. 6 scoreless innings and 11 strikeouts over 4 appearances. Batters were only 4 for 22 against him. He's pitched in the big leagues at times with different ball clubs, Cleveland, Colorado, and the Cubs.
Putnam out of the University of Michigan. Originally Cleveland Indians 5th round pick back in 08. Well, a chance here, and Shin-Soo Choo with his 4th at bat in as many innings. 1 on, 2 out. Choo tonight has doubled in 3 trips. And he loops one toward left field. De Aza coming on, makes the catch, and Putnam comes in, gets the final out on 1 pitch. But the Rangers put one on the board with Leonis Martin going deep to right field. his first home run of the year. We'll go to the fifth. It's the Rangers 10, the White Sox nothing. Nobody beats a freedom deal. Nobody. Ranger fans kissing happy out here tonight. Yeah, rightfully so. 10-0. They have seen their team jump on the White Sox in the first 4 innings. And Martin Perez back to work in the 5th. He will face Alexei Ramirez, Alejandro De Aza, and Tyler Flowers. And the first pitch strike to the outside corner. Ramirez fouled out to Robinson Chirinos on the first pitch that he saw tonight. Loops one to right field. That's going to be down for a hit. Well, the AL average leader has his first knock of the evening. He is aboard to start off the 5th inning.
Ramirez is about a career 275, 280 hitter. And he's having a career start to this year. His best year was his first year. And he may be on his way to his best year right now.
Well, the first hit against Martin Perez since the 3rd inning. And that's how the 5th begins. Alejandro De Aza, a strikeout, first time up there. Martinez struck out a handful. He fires strike 1.
He's throwing a lot of strikes. 34 strikes, 14 balls.
And that one just a bit low. 1-1 to De Aza. Let's see if Martin can rack up another double play ball. Prince knocked it down. He's going to have one play. That's the first. Would have had a chance, maybe. Right in the baseline. That would have been a tough throw. But he gets the batter De Aza at first. One away with Ramirez going to second. And Tyler Flowers will come up.
In this kind of a game, you want to just make sure you get one out. If you can get the force out at second, great. But if he tried to throw that, the runner probably would have been right in his sight line. And so he got the one out. A tricky little hop, knocked it down and made the play.
Well, here's Flowers. He grounded out to Prince Fielder, his first at bat. Flowers hitting at .386. A home run, 6 driven in. Perez gets the sign he wants, a check of second. 1-0. Tyler Flowers, big guy at 6'4", about 245. Originally was with the Atlanta Braves. Their 33rd round selection in the 2005 draft. That's in the dirt. Changeup floated low, and it's 2-0. Perez trying to refocus himself. Little walk away from the pitching rubber. Now back up there, reading the signs, and sets at the belt. Hit well to center field. Leonis Martin going back, and he's there to make the catch. Ramirez thought about tagging up, trying to go to third, but down 10-0. He decided against it, and it's a good thing. Leonis would have nailed him by about 30 feet.
Yeah, he showed off his arm just for the fans that haven't seen him throw. Out near the warning track, gets a great jump. That's exactly how to go after a ball too. Back to the plate, sprinted, turned around, caught it, and threw a one-hop long-range throw right to Kuzminov at third base.
And even Leonis has to smile a little bit on that.
Yeah, he's bantering a little bit with Ramirez at second base, his countryman. Don't worry, I remember how you throw, kid.
Yeah. Here's Larry Garcia. He goes after a high changeup, fouls it back. It's 0-1. Garcia doubled to left center field his first time up there. Garcia now at 294. Ramirez the lead from second. Perez back to the plate. Foul tip. He's got a piece of Robinson Chirinos bare hand. Appears to be okay. 0-2, the count to Garcia. The 0-2 pitch. That one in on his fist. Garcia stays alive with a little chop foul. The Rangers scoring early and often tonight. And Martin Perez doing a pretty good job of pitching with that big lead. Some people tell you, I pitch better if the game is tight.
I know what you say to that.
Yeah.
Give me 10 runs every time, right?
I'll take my chances.
I've heard you say that before. That's why I haven't said anything. Normally I would have said he's had to really concentrate tonight with these long innings.
Yeah,
but in anticipation of your comment,
yeah.
I stayed away from it.
Take my chance with a 10 spot. Figure you can give up 9 and still get a W for your team. That's pretty good. 1-2 the count. Got him swinging.
Oh, he's got good stuff tonight.
Great tailing changeup. 6 strikeouts, a hit, a runner left, halfway through the ball game. The Rangers 10, the White Sox nothing on TXA 21.
Ford is the best in Texas. And by Globe Life, the official life insurance company of the Texas Rangers. There's Zach Putnam back out to the hill. He threw one pitch and got the final out of the fourth inning. Back out there now to face Elvis Andrus, Alex Rios, and Prince Fielder. Elvis has been aboard all 3 times that he's come to the plate tonight. He's had 2 walks, a single, a pair of stolen bases, and 2 runs scored. As you see, Jordan Danks now has come into the game for Adam Eaton in center field. A strike to Elvis. It's 1-1.
Eaton may have tightened up after base hit he got to lead off the game. He stumbled going around first base, stayed in the game. Maybe why he's out of the game.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Elvis now with 8 stolen bases for the year. And depending on what Jacoby Ellsbury has done tonight, Elvis might be leading the league. He grounds out here to third base. Simeon takes care of that. And that's out number 1. Now Alex Rios coming up. Rios tonight has singled twice. Last time up, it was a 2-run single, and he now has raised his RBI total to a team-high 9 driven in. Also scored a couple of runs. And a batting average up over 300 once again. 1-0. And honestly, had it not been for a great play by the third baseman Marcus Simeon, he'd be 3 for 3.
I'll say.
With about 5 RBIs. Had a good rip at that Putnam offering and fouled it straight back. A ball and a strike. Putnam's next pitch. Didn't need to do it. It's a strike anyway. Alex Rios had not 4 full years with the White Sox. Little loop around into shallow right center. Garcia going out. And over there to make the catch. And that is out number 2.
First baseman, Prince Fielder.
2 up, 2 away, and it's the first time tonight that's happened. Prince Fielder, an RBI double his last time. He has been on base all 3 times. Intentional walk, also a hit by pitch. He's driven in 1, he has scored 1. Knee-high strike, nothing in 1. Prince at 177 with the average. Pretty good changeup by Putnam. It's nothing in 2.
Yeah, Putnam doesn't look like he's necessarily a hard thrower, but has pretty good movement and a good assortment of off-speed pitches. Looks like he keeps the hitters off balance pretty well.
Right-hander ready to go. And Fielder lobs one into shallow left. That is going to be down for a base hit. Now, Prince reaches out and just pokes it in there for his second hit of the night.
Looks like a changeup down and away. Fooled a little bit off the end of the bat a little bit. But as we said the other day, he's got a couple of those coming really after a hard hit ball as he's hit into the shift.
Well, the Rangers now with their 14th hit have tied their season high water mark. They had 14 against Philadelphia here on opening day. They have not climbed back to that height since then. Guzman off a diving stop by Ramirez. He throws from his knees prone and gets him at first. Oh my, what a play by Alexei Ramirez.
Rangers 14 hits and 10 runs, but they've taken some hits away from him, too.
Wow. 1 hit, 1 left. We have finished 5. Rangers lead by 10.
We've got the Texas Food Truck and Fest right here at Globe Life Park. Price of admission is $10 on Friday, $12 on Saturday, and kids under the age of 12 get in for $5, right? All right, now, aside from all sorts of food that's going to be in those food trucks, we've also got some ballpark food. Bacon on a stick. What else you got?
We got the Chumungus right here. We're also going to have our famous frozen beer, Kirin Ichiban, and as well as brisket nachos. So you're going to stop by the Ballpark Express food truck at the Food Truck and Fest.
Now, this is a lot smaller than the last chew I saw.
Yeah, it is. It's this is about half the size. Our normal one is 24 inches, and this one's about 12 inches.
All right, so you get a mini chew. That is the Texas Food Truck and Fest. Come and hang out here with everybody here at the ballpark. That is Friday and Saturday next week. Guys, back to you.
All right, Jane, thank you.
To me, that's a genius idea, going with a half a chew.
Yeah.
Because there might be somebody that's dying to try it, but just won't get it because it's so big.
So that's a chew, and the big one's a chew-chew. Right?
That's a not chew. I wonder if Shin Su has tried one of those concoctions.
I bet he has.
I hope he has.
So apparently it's a Korean barbecue on top of a roll.
Maybe he helped design it.
He might have. Jordan Danks leading things off here in the 6th inning. He took over for Adam Eaton, and Danks hitting 167 for the year. No home runs and RBI. So he's only played in 5 ball games for the White Sox. 2-2 pitch. And the count has gone full. Well, one of the few times tonight that Martin Perez has gotten to a 3-ball count. He has not walked a hitter tonight. He has given up just the 3 hits. Payoff pitch is fouled away. Martin with 6 strikeouts through the first 5 innings. Left-hander to the wind. Again, the 3-2. Low ball 4, and he walked his first man. And you can see Martin walking around pretty disgusted with himself after that pass to start the 6th. Still very manageable 65 pitches for Martin Perez, but he's upset. You have a 10-0 lead. He said, no, you can't walk that leadoff man.
Leadoff man, left-hand hitter.
A 1 on, nobody out.
Hadn't had a double play yet, though.
There you go. You were just setting that up.
Yep, take care of that.
Marcus Semien grounded to short his last time up.
Opponents have grounded into 9 double plays with Martin on the mound. 5 is the next most in the American League.
Danks not being held on. And the pitch is low for a ball. It's 2-0.
And Robinson Chirinos now going to go out. And remember the last outing that Perez had, he ran into a similar situation, not because of the score of the game, but lost his focus a little bit. And he said Robinson Chirinos coming out and speaking to him really got him back where he needed to be. So Chirinos said exactly the right thing at that time. And boy, that's an invaluable asset for a catcher to have.
Sure is.
Perez with a 2-0 pitch. Fouled away. He came back with a good strike. People sitting there saying, well, it's 10-0. How come you just throw the ball down the middle? First of all, you'd hate to get one of your infielders killed. Secondly, it's not that easy when things aren't going well.
I guess you say to yourself, I'm not going to do anything different. I'm going to pitch my game. What do you do? Pretend the score is 2-1, 3-2? Just go out there and pitch the way you normally would.
Kuzminoff goes to second. They get one. The return to first not in time.
Nice play by Kevin.
Simeon got down that line pretty well. Yes, it was. Kuzminoff gets the force on Danks at second. One gone for Jose Abreu.
That's one of those balls as a fielder. You're coming in after this. You're not sure where it's going to bounce, but you've got to go for it. Pretty nice play.
Yeah, going back to the score thing, Tom, and how you pitch, I don't know that you make it a one-run game to where every time you get somebody on, he's the tying run.
Yeah.
Because that puts pressure on yourself you don't need. But you still think, get ahead of the hitters. And you should feel better about that because you know that one mistake is not going to beat you.
Right.
There's a good tailing fastball for a strike to Abreu. Jose Abreu, 2 strikeouts tonight. Big Cuban slugger up there is an imposing figure in that batter's box. Low and in. A ball and a strike to count. Perez sets. And deals low and outside. It's 2-1. Jose Abreu both times have gotten behind in the count and wailing at the changeup with no success against Perez tonight. Martin, a long look in. Now the left-hander's ready. The 2-1 pitch. Now it's 2-2. Abreu, one of the more sought-after free agents this past offseason. White Sox ended up signing him in the tail end of October.
They probably have the inside track of the Cuban player. They already had Viciedo and Ramirez on their team, both Cubans. For a Cuban player who defects and comes over here, it can be a lonely situation, but not with the White Sox. Got several guys on the team in relatively the same situation.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Now Chirinos going to go out again and have a little chat with Martin Perez. Might have seen Martin maybe trying to do a little too much mentally with the count. Abreu, a 27-year-old. From Cienfuegos in Cuba. Now the payoff pitch. Got him swinging. 3 straight times. Abreu has come up empty going after that changeup. 2 out. 7 strikeouts for Martin Perez.
Perfectly located. If for some reason he's able to lay off it, it's still a strike. Threw it in the strike zone.
Here's Viciedo. Diane Viciedo, 0 for 2. First ball swinging, flag down, and the high throw by Kuzminov, but there in plenty of time to Murphy, and that'll do it. Oh, the White Sox, no runs, no hits. The Walker left stranded. After 5.5, Rangers 10, White Sox nothing. Ranger, it's a grand slam mission, and Johnny Coach from Keller will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, the Rangers have hit 2 tonight. Let's see if they can't add one more here and make Johnny Coach at least $1,700, Richard, if not $25,000. Jim Adduci starting things off. Adduci has 2 hits in 3 trips with an RBI, and he takes the first pitch from Zach Putnam for strike 1. 4.55 now the average for Jim Adduci with those 2 safeties. Going the other way, and it's a fair ball headed toward the corner. Adduci with great speed into second. He will stop there as Diaza gets the ball back in, and there is a new high water mark for the Rangers. 15 hits in the ball game.
Well, Wash was talking before the game. A lot of the writers said, why would you pick today for Jim to get the opportunity to start a game? And he said, I've been trying to get him into a game. I want him to get some more at bats, give him a chance to play a game. And this was the game that I finally was able to get him in there, and picked a good day to do it. Jim's got 3 hits and an RBI.
And he's at second with nobody out for Donnie Murphy. Murphy's got to feel like the outcast. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Everybody else is having a great time, running their batting averages up a little bit. And Donnie's saying, hey, wait a minute. I want to get involved in that.
Well, the good news is he's probably got 1, maybe 2 at-bats left. Get a little something going.
Last time up, Murphy grounded into a 5-4-3 double play. 222 the average, as you saw. He's got Adduci at second base. Nobody out. And he takes low and away to even the count. And the Rangers 10 runs on 15 hits thus far. And back on opening day was 10 runs on 14 hits. The veteran left-hander Scott Downs just starting to loosen. He is a veteran, so he may be holding off to loosening up as long as possible. See if he can get out of here without getting in the game. Be a veteran move. The Skip, I can't get loose in time.
Well, he's been around a long time.
Yep.
Sinker ball pitcher, tough on lefties. Breaking ball to get a left-hand hitter out. Sinker ball to get a ground ball from a right-hand batter. Made a good living as a relief pitcher, a little bit like Darren Oliver in that regard.
Yeah. 1-2 pitch. Murphy, high fly ball into the gap in left center. Plenty of time for Danks to get over there. Makes the catch, and staying at second base is Adduci.
Well, Donnie's 0 for 4, but he's had a couple of fly balls deep to the outfielders in the middle of the field that he just got underneath a little bit. He had good swings at him, just didn't quite connect on him.
Adduci still at second base. Leonis Martin up for his 4th at bat. Martin, a triple and a home run. He's got the 2 toughest legs of the cycle already taken care of. See if he can get a 2-bagger and then a single tonight. Leonis hitting at 308. And there's a big bullet into right field. That is going to score Adduci. Well, there's the single for Martin. Another RBI. It is 11-0.
Looks like Leonis is pretty pumped up to show off in front of the 3 Cuban players on the White Sox. I'm sure they all know each other from the Cuban League. And Leonis is the one who's had the big night tonight. 3 well-hit balls to right field after striking out the first time up.
Well, Martin now tied for the team leadership with 9 runs driven in. White Sox have given up 16 hits now to the Rangers. They also did that back on April the 9th against the Rockies. Robinson Chirinos, who is 3 for 3, takes strike 1. 11 runs tonight. You have to go back to last August 23rd against these same Pale Hose. Find the last time the Rangers scored 11. Chopper to third, second for 1, return to first in time, and that'll do it. So another around the horn double play, but the Rangers add on a run on 2 hits and nobody left. On to the 7th we go. 11-0 Rangers on TXA 21. Triple into the corner, driving in 2 for Leonis Martin. His second triple in the last week, and then driving one out of the ballpark. The home run. He added a single later and has 3 legs of the cycle. TXU Energy, the right things right now. Martin Perez going to work on Paul Konerko to start off the 7th inning. Got some defensive changes for you. Michael Choice has entered the ball game, taking over in left field. And Josh Wilson now playing shortstop. So both Shin-Soo Choo and Elvis Andrus finished for the night. There's a strike. It is 1-1. Konerko, a couple of ground balls. Once back to the box, once to short.
I want to send some get well wishes to Jean Pinkston. She's in the hospital in Denton. One of the Rangers' biggest fans, watches every game. Jean, I hope you're watching tonight, and I hope you're out of the hospital and feeling well soon.
2-1 pitch. And it's 3-1. Thinking about wishes, did you know that 28 years ago today I had the honor of announcing the birth of Brett Burchett?
I did not know that.
Yeah, the youngest son of our director. Just seems like it was just the other day, 28 years ago. Happy birthday, Brett. Kuzmanov, that sidearm flip, and Konerko retired, one away. I believe we were in Baltimore when that occurred. And Dave swears that he was with his wife Joni for that birth, but I think he was in the truck. Now, I didn't see him for sure, but I think he was there. One out here in the 7th. Alexei Ramirez, who is 1 for 2. Goes after the first pitch and hits a high drive deep to left field, but in front of the warning track, Michael Choice stops and puts it away for out number 2. That sounded a lot better coming off the bat than it carried. And Michael Choice gets his first action of the evening. Well, folks, when you use the coupon code OZARKA at TexasRangers.com/specials, you can save 50% in select seating areas for most Tuesday games this season. You can get half-price tickets for Tuesday, April 29th, to see the Rangers take on the hated Oakland A's. 2 outs, Alejandro de Aza looks at strike 1 on the outside corner. That was just the 84th pitch of the night for Martin Perez, and he's working with 2 outs in the 7th inning. De Aza 0 for 2. He chops that one foul over to the Ranger dugout off that protective screen in front. Down on the count now, De Aza at 0-2. Season average of 170. Martin Perez back to work. De Aza just laying off the good breaking ball. Perez again to the plate. And another foul ball. White Sox falling on hard times a bit of late. They split their last 10 games, but they've lost a couple straight, both those to the Red Sox. Line drive to left. Here comes Michael Choice, the ball hanging up for him. He makes the catch. It's a 1-2-3 inning. It's stretch time at Globe Life Park, 11-0 Rangers. Now please join Chuck Morgan as he introduces God Bless America.
As we remember the servicemen and women who are serving our country at home and around the world, we invite everyone in Globe Life Park to join in singing God Bless America.
Down to the bottom of the 7th inning, and the 37-year-old make that 38-year-old veteran Scott Downs on the hill to face the Rangers here in the 7th.
We're talking about Scott. What a solid setup reliever he's been for a long time. He's had some opportunities over the years to be a closer from time to time. Guy with a good sinker, a good curveball, uses the breaking ball a lot to the left-hand hitters, sinkers a lot to the right-hand hitters.
Michael Choice getting his first at bat of the night. He's taking over defensively for Shin-Soo Choo, and he takes the pitch low for ball 1. Choo, by the way, retired going 1 for 4 with a double and a run scored. Choice, a 200 hitter. And a chopper out to short. 1 gone. And Michael Choice grounds out. And now Josh Wilson. Scott Downs, by the way, signed as a free agent by the White Sox this past January. Last year he was with the Angels and Atlanta, split time between the two teams. Also spent time with the Cubs, with Montreal, and Toronto. Backhanded by Semien, he straightens up and fires the first. Wilson is retired very quickly, 2 away here in the Rangers 7th.
Downs in his career has appeared in 564 games coming into the season with an ERA of 3.48. Shows you over a long period of time how successful he's been. Always been tough on lefties. They just hit a little bit over 200 against him. Total major league service, about 11.5 years.
Alex Rios, a couple of hits and 4 trips. Takes ball 1. Rios, a pair of singles, 2 RBI. Now tied for the team leadership with 9 runs driven in this year. 1-0 pitch. That's lined toward right center field. Thanks over, he can't get there. It's down for a hit. And cruising into second base with his 3rd hit of the night, this one a 2-bagger, is Alex Rios. Rios doing a great job of going with that pitch and driving it into the opposite alley.
The ball came up a little bit, not down where Downs usually keeps the ball, but he's probably, for a right-hand hitter, not a bad idea to try to go back through the middle with him, so that you don't try to pull that sinker, which will lead to a ground ball to the left side. Rios 3 hits and robbed of another one, robbed of a 2-out, 2-run hit, ending the second inning, a 1-hop smash to 3rd.
Here's Prince Fielder, who has 2 hits his last 2 times up. 2 for 2 officially tonight.
Yeah, that's the curveball that he likes to throw to left-hand hitters.
Fielder 1 for 3 in his career against Scott Downs. Tried to check his swing on the breaking ball, and he did. It's 2-0. That on the appeal to the third base umpire, John Champagne. Rios establishing his lead at the bottom of your screen. He is at second after a 2-out double. Down sets. He throws a fastball low. It's 3-0. Now the 3-0 pitch coming. Right down the middle. Baseball etiquette would suggest 11-0. Yeah. You take the 3-0 pitch.
Swinging from your shoe tops on that one probably wouldn't be looked at very well.
Might get somebody a buzz cut.
Yeah.
However, 3-1,
No, you're on your own. And ball 4 is low. For all 5 plate appearances tonight, Prince Fielder has been aboard. 2 walks, a hit by pitch, and 2 hits. 2 on, 2 outs for Kuzminov. Kevin has hit the ball a lot harder than his line shows you tonight. He's 1 for 4 officially with an RBI. And he has scorched a couple of balls that were either right at people or made very nice plays, most notably last time up. Alexei Ramirez took a base hit away from him. A 1 for 4, that averaged at 394. 1 ball and no strikes. Rios at second, Fielder at first. Downs checks them, back to the plate he comes. And it's low, it's 2-0. Scott Downs looking around, see if he can't locate his command and get a pitch called a strike. That's outside, 3 balls and no strikes. Well, mentioned that Kevin Kuzminov, 9 straight games now he's hit safely, and all 9 games that he has played with the Rangers in.
Fred Manrique.
Yeah, that's just 2 off the best start of a Ranger career. Fred Manrique back in 1989 did that.
Wow.
Now that is a list that I'm not sure Kevin Kuzminov would feel fortunate to be on, naming it's Fred Manrique at the top. You told him that, he might take offense to it.
That's all right. He put himself on top. He won't have to worry about it. There you go.
Shot to right field, a base hit. Around third, coming in to score, Alex Rios. Kevin Kuzminov, his second RBI of the night. The Rangers have an even dozen on the board.
Kevin's putting the solid part of the bat and the ball with regularity. Goes the other way with that sinker down. Good idea, good way to hit that pitch. And this time he finds a hole.
That didn't look like it was the easiest of pitches to drive. He drove that pretty well the other way.
Sure did.
Yamadusi going the other way, as he did last time, but this one out of play. Adusi has had hits in his last 3 at-bats. He's 3 for 4 tonight. A double and a pair of singles. He also scored twice and driven in a run. This ties his career high for hits in a ball game. He did that last September also. One ball and 1 strike. The Rangers tonight with 2 runs in the first, 7 runs in the third. A run each in the 4th, 6th, and now the 7th. And they've only had a goose egg up there for 2 innings. Downs ready to go with the 1-1. The nasty tailing stuff down and in to Adusi. Fielder leading away from second. Kuzminov away from first. And the pitch got him swinging. And that will do it. But the Rangers add on 1 more time on 2 hits they leave 2. We're going to the 8th. It's now the Rangers 12, the White Sox nothing on TXA 21.
Martin Perez with a 12-0 lead back out to the hill. And he is working in his 8th inning here tonight. Tyler Flowers, after the foul ball, down in the count, 0-1.
No, Martin's last start against Houston, he went 8 innings, gave up 5 hits, did not give up a run, threw 107 pitches, 3 walks and a couple of strikeouts. And he's got an opportunity to duplicate that with 8 more innings today and give up fewer hits. Oh, a good inning here. I have 16 straight scoreless innings in his last 2 starts.
Flowers reaching for a breaking ball and skies to right field. Lazy fly ball for a Ducey. That's out number 1.
Yeah, you love to see the improvement, the development of young pitchers. One thing you don't really expect is to get back-to-back games from a 23-year-old where he's going to throw 8 innings in both games.
Yep.
But he's kept his pitch count down really nice today. Had one, if you want to call it a long inning, 19 pitches in the 6th inning. A lot of strikes.
Here's Leury Garcia. 1 ball, no strikes. And that for Martin, just his 92nd pitch. 7 strikeouts for Perez tonight. Garcia was one of those back in the 5th inning.
And you mentioned that the White Sox have scored more runs than any team in the American League, so it's not like he's facing a soft touch tonight. Right. He's facing a good hitting team who's been scoring a lot of runs. And he's completely shut them down.
2-0 pitch. 2-1. There's a breakdown. 61 strikes, 33 balls. Very, very acceptable as far as the ball strike ratio. Chopper to third. Kuzminoff gets it before the short hop. 2 gone.
Another quick out. Got a great chance to go out there for the 9th and try to get that shutout.
Yep. Yeah, and you would think after 107 pitches last time, I think Ron Washington would probably be all 4 going back out there.
Sure.
Give him that opportunity. Remember last year, Perez in his only complete game against the Astros went 8 2/3 and lost a shutout down at Minute Maid.
Yep. In his starts this year, he's thrown 83 pitches in his first start against Philadelphia, then 101, then 107.
Jordan Danks a walk back in the 6th inning when he came up for the first time. That's the only blemish on Martin Perez ledger tonight. Fouled away, and it's 0-2. Perez to the wind. And misses low and inside. You know, the Rangers as a group have had 4 shutouts. Had 3 on this homestand. They've gotten their pitching pretty much in order. On the ground to Donnie Murphy at second. It's a very quick 1-2-3 inning. That is 8 straight sent down by Martin Perez and his Ranger teammates. Bottom of the 8th, 12-0 Texas. Park will receive a Yu Darvish Strikeout King bobblehead, courtesy of Reliant. Get your tickets right now at TexasRangers.com/tickets, or you can call 972-RANGER. Don't miss out on this collectible giveaway tomorrow evening.
Well, we've had a sneak preview at it. It's a pretty good-looking bobblehead.
It is. It is.
I think as the years go by, they get more and more bobbleheads with a great likeness of whoever it is they're trying to imitate. In the old days, some of them just looked like they put a different name on the same bobblehead. But now they actually resemble the player very well. I really like Hughes.
Well, apparently you gave the thumbs up to it when you saw it, too. He kind of liked it.
Did he?
Yeah, that looks like me. Donnie Murphy takes outside. 2 balls and a strike. Murphy leading off the 8th inning. Donnie 0 for 4. A couple of fly balls, a ground out, and a strikeout tonight. Scott Downs, who gave up a run on a couple of hits last inning. There was the big slow hook in for strike 2. Murphy trying to get aboard to start this Ranger 8th, and got a little bit of something going on because the next hitter, Leonis Martin, is just a double shy of the cycle. He is singled, tripled, and homered. Haven't had a cycle here since Alex Rios last year. Downs with the payoff pitch coming to Murphy. Fouled straight down. We'll have to wait at least one more pitch to see Martin.
Well, one bit of good fortune the Rangers had in this series, they won't have to face Chris Sale.
That's right.
I don't know a hitter in baseball that wants to face that kid.
Although the last time that Sale started here was the last time Martin Perez pitched against the White Sox. And they hung an 11 spot on Sale.
Well, that's nice to have done it, but I still wouldn't want to face him again.
Yeah. Murphy rolls out to short. One gone, and now here comes Leonis Martin, a double shy of the cycle. Let's see if he can maybe hit a gap somewhere. Infield just shading him slightly around to the right. The outfield giving him a pretty good gap in right center field. Martin struck out in the 2nd inning. He then tripled in 2 runs in the 3rd. And this is the 3rd. A triple right down the right field line. Out on fielder Aducci. Into the 4th inning. Boom. Got him under a curveball and hammered it out of here. And the last time up, had that solid base hit to right. Up there now with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike, facing a tough lefty in Scott Downs. When he had something to work with there and just pulled it foul. That breaking ball stayed up for him. 1-2. .321 the average for Leonis Martin. Got him swinging. You know, there'll be other opportunities for him, but he had the toughest ones out of the way tonight. He gets a real nice round of applause heading back to the Ranger dugout.
That's pretty good. The fans recognize that. There's been years in the past where I don't know that our fans would have realized that. Pretty good.
Very well aware of what's going on. That's great to see. Well, base is empty. 2 away. Robinson Chirinos comes up. Chirinos 3 for 4 tonight. 2-run home run and a pair of singles. 1 ball, no strikes. Out of play. And the count evens up. You know, there hadn't been any action in the Ranger bullpen at the start of this half inning, but
Look out there now. There's a little bit of activity going. Downs reads the sign. The left-hander is set to work. 2-1. Chirinos now with a free hit nine has that batting average up to 241. Now 2-2.
Downs is the only left-hander in the White Sox bullpen. He's going to throw at least 35 pitches. Might make him unavailable for tomorrow. They only have the one lefty in the bullpen. Rangers will face a tough lefty tomorrow, Jose Quintana.
Fly ball, pretty well hit center field. Danks retreating. The pull up just shy of the warning track as he makes the catch. And that'll do it. First time tonight, the Rangers have gone down in order. We're going to the ninth inning. Martin Perez and the Rangers shutting out the White Sox 12-0. Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer today. Ford is the best in Texas. By Globe Life, the official life insurance company of the Texas Rangers. And by TXU Energy for home and business. 1-866-CALL TXU. Martin Perez out for the ninth inning. Marcus Semien leading things off, and Perez back to the plate, misses low. 2 balls and no strikes. Perez trying for his first complete game shutout. I mentioned he lost the last attempt that he had in the ninth inning to the Houston Astros last year. And Semien hits a fly ball to left, retreating a few steps. Michael Choice now back into the couple. That is out number 1.
I just bumped into the great Bill Jones out in the hallway. Buzz, he dropped a gem on me. Martin Perez has had 1 complete game shutout in his professional career. It was a 5-inning, rain-shortened, perfect game at Frisco.
There you go. There you go. So he's no stranger to being.
No, he's been here before.
Yeah,
just in the 5th inning.
Jose Abreu now steps in.
He was probably planning on using that in the post-game show, too.
Yeah, we just blew it right out of the water.
That's what he gets for telling me.
Josh Wilson up, on to first. 2 outs here in the ninth. 11 straight sent down by Martin Perez and the Rangers. And Diane Viciedo is coming to the plate. And the crowd of 40,671 on their feet. A salute
to the 23-year-old left-hander Martin Perez. Viciedo 0 for 3. Looks at strike one. Last complete game shutout by a Ranger, Derek Holland. Shut out the Houston Astros September 23rd of last year. And ironically, that was a 12-0 final score. The 1-1 pitch. 1-2. Perez with 7 strikeouts, 1 shy of his career high. The left-hander back to the plate. 2-2. Then Bogart, Ron Washington. Gotta be loving what they're seeing from the 23-year-old here tonight, and the whole season for that matter.
Well, the young pitchers are giving Ron some innings too.
3 balls, 2 strikes the count to Viciedo. Canerco waits to be next. Will it be tonight or tomorrow? The payoff pitch on the way. Check swing, did he go? Yes, he did. A complete game shutout for Martin Perez. A career-high tying 8 strikeouts. A 3-hit complete game on 109 pitches. Martin Perez wins his 3rd game against no losses. What a night for the young man.
Well, you mentioned it, Bud, before the game started, how it seems like he gets better every time he goes out there. Pretty good example of it tonight. Last 2 starts that he's had. 8 innings against the Astros, 5-hit shutout ball, 3-hit shutout ball, and a complete game today against the highest scoring team in the American League. And Martin completely shut them down today. He goes to 3-0. And he keeps developing into that top of the rotation guy that he always had the talent in the minor leagues and showed the promise for. Starting to happen for him now at the age of 23 in the big leagues.
Martin Perez just outstanding here tonight, and I'm sure the 12 runs didn't bother him too much having that kind of a lead.
Didn't look like it.
What a night. What a night for the young man, and I think we're going to be able to talk to him here shortly. But we'll be back with more right after this.